that methane is one of the easiest, quickest, cheapest of ways to reduce the problem of the global climate crisis. So we have two distinguished sets of speakers, two panels, who will showcase significant announcements on both of these fronts. Our first panel is going to focus on Egypt's country platform for the nexus of water, food, and energy, NUEFI. And that is a major achievement, and we've been very happy to be working with Egypt for this past year as they have developed this initiative, and we intend to be very supportive of it. It's an exceptional model of a country-led process to link sustainable development and climate action together with development projects that attract blended finance. So, Minister Shukri, we look forward to hearing more about NUEFI from the government of Egypt, and we very much look forward to working with you in the days ahead to do what you think is necessary to make this a success. I turn it over to you, Minister Shukri.
Thank you very much. On my part, let me begin by conveying my deep appreciation to Secretary Kerry, who I consider a friend, for his dedication to climate action. For decades, he has been a proponent, an advocate, and a committed supporter of the fight against the devastating effects of climate change. I think his personal commitment and conviction is really to be applauded. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in this important event focusing on Egypt's continued commitment to increasing ambition on mitigation action, which continue to be indispensable if we are to meet the Paris Agreement temperature goal and to avert the most extreme impacts of climate change. On the negotiating front, COP27 has a mandate to fulfill regarding the mitigation work program, and we encourage all parties to rise to the occasion and deliver a robust program that represents a contribution to bridging the mitigation gap. Our commitment to accelerating mitigation ambition was demonstrated most recently through an update to our NDC last July, as well as our efforts to encourage other parties to follow suit. Today, we are pleased to gather here to share yet another demonstration of this commitment through a collaborative effort involving development partners, including the United States and Germany and others. We sincerely hope that through the announcements you will hear today, Egypt will be sending a strong message of ambition in mitigation action to all participants of COP27 and beyond. It is also important to note that in developing our NDCs, as well as today's package, we were able to fully integrate the social aspects of our plan to transition to a sustainable and green economy. This will hopefully be achieved through our homegrown, nationally developed platform to accelerate our sustainable development-based transition towards lower emissions through the NUEFI platform, which integrates the energy transition and food and water security elements in one national platform. You will be hearing about NUEFI in more detail from Minister El-Mashat, the Egyptian Minister of International Cooperation. To this end, we are pleased to have collaborated in this regard with Germany and the United States, who will be supporting the energy component of the platform through direct support as well as assistance in mobilizing additional resources of finance in support of both mitigation and adaptation ambitions in Egypt. I also wish to express appreciation to the Egyptian ministers and their teams who collaborated with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in this effort. Dr. Mashat, who developed the NUEFI platform, Dr. Shakir, Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, and Dr. Yasmin Fouad, Minister of the Environment. I thank you.
Thank you, Foreign Minister Shukri. Thank you, Secretary Kerry. I would now like to introduce our distinguished panelists in the order in which they will be speaking. First, we have Minister of International Cooperation, Dr. Rania El-Mashat. We have State Secretary for the German Federal Ministry of International Cooperation and Development, Jochen Flassbarth. We have Egypt's Minister of Environment, Yasmin Fouad. And we have the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or EBRD, President Odile Renaud-Bassot. Welcome, and I'll turn the floor now to Minister El-Mashat.
Thank you very much, Lauren, and let me first start by thanking Minister Shukri for his kind words and Secretary Kerry for being a very important advocate of NOAFI since we've launched it. Egypt's country platform for the nexus of water, food, and energy, pronounced NOAFI, was launched in July of 2022. And it aims to accelerate Egypt's national climate agenda. And it also, in light of country platforms that have been devised by the G20, proclaims that country ownership of development objective guides the coordinated efforts of all stakeholders to yield and scale up more successful, impactful, and sustainable results. The NOAFI platform, which is the Arabic word of fulfilling pledges, and here being at the COP of implementation, was developed on the back of Egypt's 2050 country climate strategy, as well as the updated nationally determined contributions, the NDCs. And there are certain principles of Egypt's NOAFI platform. First, it offers a unique opportunity for the international community to show solid support for the climate agenda as defined by the Paris Agreement. Second, it reaffirms our commitment to scaling up partnerships that leverage the comparative advantage of our various stakeholders, development partners, as well as private sector in the projects that we find as priorities. And third, it reinforces the fact that international cooperation towards a just green transition is based on shared ambition. Furthermore, it underscores the importance of improving access to climate finance as a key enabler to accelerate Egypt's transition to low-carbon, resilient, and inclusive development. And finally, it stresses the indispensable role of the private sector as a strategic partner contributing to the successful implementation. And just to mention something on the private sector, we keep on accounting for how much climate finance is available, but there's no way we're going to reach these goals without catalyzing private sector engagement. Leveraging on Egypt's partnerships with multiple stakeholders, the Ministry of International Cooperation has led efforts to mobilize finance, avail technical assistance, catalyze private investment through innovative financing modalities, including blended finance and debt swaps for the NOAFI projects. Against this background, the platform reflects the interlinkages and complementarities between climate action and development efforts through the design, structuring, and preparation of concrete and implementable climate action projects. NOAFI integrates a set of high-priority projects, not only in mitigation, but also in adaptation, bundled around the nexus of the three main pillars, water, food, and energy, and they have been selected through a prioritization process led by the Egyptian government. These projects are implemented under a programmatic approach. So let me speak about the adaptation part of NOAFI. Both the water and food pillars, where Egypt has partnered with the African Development Bank and the International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD, respectively. And under the water pillar, the projects aim at improving irrigation efficiency and building resilience and developing water desalination capacity using renewable energy. Under the food pillar, the projects aim at enhancing small farmers' adaptation to climate risks, increasing crop yields, and establishing early warning systems and modernizing on-farm practices. Coming to mitigation, the topic of this panel, Egypt partners with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and I want to recognize President Odile for her leadership on this. The projects target enhancing renewable energy to reach 42% of the energy mix by 2030 by decommissioning 12 gas-fired power plants with a total capacity of 5 gigawatts to be replaced by 10 gigawatts renewable energy. The government of Egypt, representatives from multilateral development banks, financial institutions, UN agencies, GFANs, and Secretary Kerry, and many others were there at the Egypt International Cooperation Forum September 7th, where we launched a joint statement in support of NOAFI. And 2 days ago, here at COP27, at the implementation COP on November 8th, heads of international institutions and bilateral partners signed partnership and financing agreements for Nuwafi and other green projects worth $10 billion. The key message of Egypt's innovative country platform, Nuwafi, is availing the support needed for developing countries and emerging economies to pursue their development agenda while accelerating climate action. We are demonstrating that both are not mutually exclusive. It is an integrated approach, both climate as well as development action. We are encouraged by the feedback of the international stakeholders who describe Nuwafi as an exemplary model for climate finance mobilization that reflects commitment, clarity, and credibility. And for commitment, I want to say that our political leadership, His Excellency Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, has started the climate transition since 2014. Clarity in the climate goals and targets set out in the 2050 Agenda and the NDCs, and finally, the credibility that we enjoy with our long-standing relationships with different development partners, both bilateral and multilateral. And thank you very much, Secretary Kerry, the US and Germany for your support, particularly on this mitigation aspect of Nuwafi, EBRD as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Al-Nashat. Thank you so much. I'll turn now, please, to State Secretary Flasbarth. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for having me here at this wonderful event. And this is a type of event that is excellent because it fills our batteries, if I may say so. It's wonderful to show that after all, beside all the negotiations, we have an opportunity to mutually develop things. And mutually is my beloved word of the Paris Agreement. It is in there. And let me just explain why I'm sitting here. It was at the beginning of the year when I discussed inside my team, I mean, now we are heading for COP27 here in Egypt. And you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, Minister Shukri and the other ministers here from Egypt, but it's also an opportunity. You can showcase leadership. And that is what we were thinking about. Egypt as an emerging economy, as others, also need to take their share. It's, of course, up to the old industrialized countries like the US, like us in Germany, to decrease our emissions rapidly. But we also have to look at the emerging economies and also at those who are still developing countries and also want to organize welfare for their people. How do they do that? They need to grow. And how do they do that in line with 1.5 degrees? And that was when the idea was born. First, in our team, can we support Egypt to enhance its ambition? And it was Secretary Kerry, John, when we were over the phone together, that similar ideas were developed in the US, and the EBRD were working on that. And now, finally, we got these declarations a couple of days ago. I can tell you also some heated discussions about it, and some late night discussions about it. But now I think, and Minister Al-Mashat mentioned it already, an increase to 42% renewables in your energy mix by 2030, which is more than tripling in a very short time. That's really scaling up. That's leadership. And that is done by the declaration we just agreed on. The decommissioning of 12 old gas power plants with 5 gigawatt is the other side of the coin. Putting all this into an enhanced NDC, that is really wonderful. And that is why we are so happy to support it. And I understood that I should not announce now which part of the bill I'm going to pay. I can do it now for saving of time. So President Biden announced already that there is a package of $500 million on the table. Germany is ready. We are ready to take half of that, 250 million, 50 million coming with grants, 100 million with highly concessional loans, and 100 million as a debt swap. This money is available now, and we are very happy to be part of this wonderful exercise.
Thank you, and truly thank you for that. Turn it now, please, to Minister Fuad.
Thank you very much, Minister Shukri, State Carey, Rania, and all the team that's here. Let me start by thanking the team that has worked so hard, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Wael, from Rania's team, Mohammed and Randa, and from my team, Dr. Amr. They have been doing a great job, but the journey has started really very early. It is the commitment of the government under the leadership of His Excellency, the President, and the actual supervision of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, in his capacity as the head of the National Council for Climate Change. It did not come here and land that way. We decided to frame the national climate change context of Egypt, a framework that set out a strategy in a holistic, integrated, nationally owned, and participatory approach. And that's the bigger vision and the objective of 2050. And from that, we started working on the scenarios of the low carbon emissions and being so frank and transparent and also bold with ourselves and with other line ministries who I would like to express my thanks and appreciation for keeping us with what we've been pushing for. And from that, we've updated our NDC 2030, and thanks to Minister Shukri, especially that he has been calling me every week, where do we stand on the NDC? Because Egypt wanted to lead by example. We wanted to be as early as possible before the COP to present that NDC. But that was not enough. We needed to have a batch of priority projects. We wanted to have an improved life for our citizens, and that's why the first priority was the water, food, and energy nexus. We know the buckle of what's happening in the climate process and how adaptation and mitigation keep confronting one another. So we wanted to have a model that could be given out. Mitigation is bankable, renewable, and the technologies could be affordable. Private sector can go there. Let's put the renewable as a basis and then couple on it the water and the food. It's one step ahead, but one step ahead that can release that kind of attention. And having also the Minister of Electricity being ambition and looking further on the 42% that we wanted to achieve by 2035, with the negotiation with the US and Germany, we decided to have that at 2030. It's a long way that we had to go, but we were all together to come here to prove that multilateralism will be trusted and will be credible, and that together we will be able to do it. It's not a slogan that Egypt is putting together for implementation. Together in implementation, we will do it, and we will see you all in COP28. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Fouad. And now, please, I'd like to turn it to EBRD President Renaud Basso. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. I think we all know that it's very urgent to act on climate and to accelerate on mitigation, and I think the initiative we are discussing today is a very important step for Egypt in that direction. We are, as EBRD, very proud to be in charge of the energy pillar of the NWEFI initiative. And I would like just to make a few comments to highlight a few key elements which for us are very important and very positive in that initiative. First of all, it's a powerful model on scaling up energy transition, climate finance. And it's really a model that could and should be replicated by others. It combines all the elements needed, and it's a framework where the whole is greater than the sum of its components. Second is ambitious. And we've heard about the increased ambition of Egypt in accelerating the deployment of renewable, bringing the target of 42% of renewable in 2030. But it's also realistic. We've worked a lot with the government to develop the initiative, and we really believe that implementation can start in a matter of months, not years. So it can start very quickly. It will also drive growth in the economy, creating jobs and making Egypt what we believe can become a real green energy superpower, which is a huge asset in the current time. It's also inclusive with a strong priority on just transition in relation with the decommissioning, and it really recognizes that everybody must benefit of the transition, that there should be nobody left aside. It's a genuine partnership, country-led platform, already mentioned, designed by Egypt and reflecting Egypt's own priority. And I would like just to express my admiration for Dr. Vanya to pull that out, and on the overall nexus with water and energy and food together. It also catalyzes efforts from different parts. Public support, and on the public side, I would really like to thank John Kerry and Johan Plasbach for the leadership and for putting their energy and enthusiasm in the development of this initiative. Other donors will join. Let me just mention EU, France, Netherlands, Denmark, UK, and donors contributing to the EBRD fund for climate. MDBs will also contribute. As EBRD, we stand ready to provide 300 million of sovereign financing, plus contribute to the financing of the renewable part with at least 1 billion of lending capacity. African Development Bank, EIB, AIB will also participate. And most importantly, it will also catalyze private sector financing. And we've talked a lot about that, but now it's important to showcase. And the bulk, we really expect that the bulk of the funding for the renewable increased capacity will be financed by private sector. To conclude, I really believe that this initiative is a milestone in the history of modern Egypt, and it will transform the country. And now it's really time to implement. And we will work very closely with the Egyptian authorities on the detail of the delivery of the initiative, and you can count on our commitment to make these plans a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, merci. Thank you. Thanks to all. Thank you so much. So I would pass please, to Secretary Kerry for some final remarks. Thank you, sir.
Folks, I hope everybody here is really focused on the full power of what just happened here. This is really, in my judgment, one of the most important things happening at the COP, because it is exactly what we wanted it to be, which is a model, a template for how we can approach creative finance. This is probably the first bespoke, together with Indonesia, approach to how we change things. And I want everybody to be really focused. I think you understand why I'm excited about this. And I want you to know that this is exactly the way in which the world comes together in a multilateral fashion to be able to patch together the pieces that we need. Now, I've made the point many times that we can't take the time to keep patching it together. We have to have a process in place where this is going to happen almost automatically. But this template, I want you to all understand, is happening because each individual here, each of them, from Sameh Shukri all the way down to Minister Al-Mashat, came together with an idea and agreed they could be part of putting it together and make it happen. The United States is pleased that we're going to put 35 million of just grant money into this, but despite the phone calls we made and the conversations we've had for almost a year, we almost weren't able to get there. But I want to really thank Germany, because Jochen Flaschbarth and Germany stepped up at the end and helped to get us across the line. And their contribution is really significant. But here is what is happening. Because of this group coming together and all doing their part, we are in a position that Egypt will accelerate development and deployment of 10 gigawatts of renewable energy from wind and solar, shifting its electricity sector target of 42% installed capacity ahead by 5 years, from 2035 down to 2030. It's a big deal. It's also, Egypt is stepping up and communicating its increased ambition by revising its nationally determined contribution that was submitted by June 2023. So it's raising its ambition in Egypt. It's decreasing its dependence on natural gas in the electricity sector, including by the decommissioning of 12 inefficient gas-fired power plants with a total capacity of 5 gigawatts. So 5 gigawatts of gas down, inefficient plant closed, and 10 gigawatts of renewable deployed. Net 15 gigawatts of clean energy power being produced as a result of this transaction. It will kickstart the development of green hydrogen. It will reduce methane emissions from the oil and gas sector. It will expand the use of zero-emission vehicles, sustain public transport. It will develop and adopt an ambitious 2050 long-term strategy with a view to explore net zero greenhouse gas emissions target. So friends, this is exactly the kind of ambition that we need now, and it's going to make a huge difference to saying to people all around the world, put your minds to it. Get dedicated public servants like we have here, and we will win this battle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to our audience for staying with us. And please do stay with us. We're going to be having another panel in just a moment. We're going to take some quick photographs, please. I do want to thank Secretary Kerry, Foreign Minister Shukri, and our wonderful panelists and very generous contributions. Let's go ahead and do a photograph. And then I would say, please don't, for those in the audience, please do not rush the stage to make things easier for us to transition to the next panel. Thank you.